We've got a banger of a patch for Teamfight Tactics Patch 10.23, so let's just get right into it. We've got a little brief summary here. A couple nerfs you guys might have noticed: Talon, ASHE, Warwick. These guys were kind of dominating the whole set, and most importantly, this past patch. I also see a nerf to Dazzler, which hits Morgana, so let's just get right into it. A couple of buffs here too, but also most importantly, like rework Aphelios and Xin Zhao. Going to be pretty interesting because we haven't seen Aphelios in a very long time. Not sure if you guys like that or not. If you guys are Aphelios fans, let me know. If not, that's okay too. I kind of liked him. But we got a couple little legends. They're kind of cute. We got a new Squink. We got a new Fury Horn. Man, I like this one. Light Charger, Feather Knight, and the Hushtail. Are these KDA skins? They are. Okay, that's pretty cool. So into the system changes, we made improvements to the champion movement logic. This should result in more consistent and expected behavior, most notably at the start of fights when champions interact with each other. I'm sure that you guys have been in those games, and I've definitely seen them too, where you have a tank in the front line and then he moves a step backwards and then starts attacking, and it just makes no sense at all. Hopefully this fixes that, issues like that. We've also had some units walking around in circles a bunch of weird stuff going on. This has been happening since like the game came out, so I'm glad that they're finally addressing this, because it's so weird when one of your tanks is in the front line, he takes a step back, and then the enemy champion moves a step up, and then you get hit by an area of effect ability that you wouldn't normally get hit by. It's kind of weird stuff like that, but hopefully that stuff gets fixed with this system change, so I'm glad that they did that. Going on to the traits, we got some Cultist changes. When Cultists counting as double star levels, we're seeing an overperformance from 6 Cultists at earlier stages of the game. To deal with that, they're going to buff Galio's mana up to 75 out of 150, and then they're going to nerf the base health of 6 Cultists from 1750 to 1650. And then for the Supreme Overlord Galio at 9 Cultists, it is now immune to crowd control effects for 8 seconds, which I really like. His base health is being nerfed a bit, and his damage is being nerfed a bit. I like this a lot because it makes his damage more consistent, and it'll just be more reliable overall, rather than like sometimes he just completely bombs the other team, but sometimes he gets perma CC'd, and it's kind of like, what the hell, because he's supposed to be Supreme Overlord. Other trait changes: Dazzler damage reduction. It's now 50% to 40% at 2 Dazzler, which is very good because no one really plays 4 Dazzler. It's good, but it's just hard to fit in your team. And then 2 Dazzler was getting a little too strong. Lux is a very good champion on her own. Morgana works really well with Morellonomicon, and Ezreal, of course, is a legendary, so you're always going to play him if you have the choice to. So overall, this nerf is going to be really good. Divine bonus true damage and damage reduction is now being increased from 40% to 50%. I like this a lot because Divines were not played very often recently, and I always thought that they shouldn't have nerfed Divine before, so I'm glad that they changed their mind, brought it back to 50%. Divine bonus true damage and damage reduction is now being changed in terms of the timing, so at 2 Divine you go from 4 to 3 seconds, 4 Divine's the same, 6 Divine is the same, and then at 8 Divine you get buffed from 13 to 15 seconds. So they're nerfing a lot of the smaller synergies and buffing some of the later ones. So we'll see how that plays out as the patch goes on. I'm always a fan of like mixing and matching small synergies, but maybe they thought 2 Divine was a little too good. I'm not really too sure why. Hunter bonus damage is being decreased at all levels by 25%. Completely understandable. 5 Hunter was pretty strong on the last patch. I don't know if you guys tried that comp, but man, it's just really powerful with any sort of attack damage items on some of your hunters. It gets insane. Fortune added new loot tables for 10, 11, and 12 loss streaks. So if you guys manage to get a 10, 11, or 12 loss streak, maybe you guys get something cool. If you guys do, like, take a screenshot of it, post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram. Go ahead and tag me in it, BunnyMuffins LOL. Keeper's shield duration is now being increased at levels 2 and 3. So at 4 and 6 keepers, from 8 seconds to 10 and 14 seconds, and then 2 keeper remains the same at 8 seconds, and then the keeper shield amount is also being adjusted. At level 3 or 6 keeper, is being reduced by 50 seconds. Overall, this is obviously a buff because we rarely play 6 keeper, and if you do, that's a lot of shields. 14 seconds is a very long time. Most fights are decided after 14 seconds, so this shield is going to be much more high impact than it was before. Champions Tier 2, Aphelios' extreme synergy with Rageblade has forced him into an overall weak balance state when he doesn't have the item. Nope, it's because you kind of nerfed everything about Aphelios. We're decoupling Aphelios' reliance on Rageblade by removing his turret's ability to proc on attack effects or grant him mana. will now be able to put Aphelios at a better baseline and hopefully allow him to succeed with multiple item builds. So I'm glad that they're bringing Aphelios back, but they didn't need to kill him before. Before they killed him, he was actually at like, I think he was averaging like 4.5 place, which is like very average. And yeah, then they just killed him by removing an interaction that he had. So, but they're bringing him back, which is fine. I know it's kind of unfun before because like from a design philosophy, they could think that, oh, we don't want a champion to only work in one way. But it was kind of fun to see him like stack the Rage Blades to an insane amount, right? Aphelios' turrets will no longer... Okay, we already went over that. He also won't get any mana from the auto attacks from the turrets, but he will continue to trigger on hit effects. So what this means is that the turrets used to count as an Aphelios attack, and whenever you attack, you gain mana. I made a mana video on this if you guys want to check that out, if you go into my video history. But now it will only trigger on-hit effects such as Spear of Shojin. Now that I think about it, Spear of Shojin might be the only item that has an on-hit effect now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Last Whisper an on-hit effect? I can't really tell. But yeah, those effects will be the only things that work on it. I'd say red buff, but red buff's not in the game anymore. Aphelios' starting and total mana is being changed. It's being changed from 90 out of 180 to 40 out of 80. So he just needs 4 attacks to get his first turret and then 8 attacks to get his next one, assuming he doesn't have Spear or Shojin, assuming he doesn't take any damage. And his attack speed is being buffed slightly by 0.05. I'm not sure if he's going to be playable at this rate. It's really tough to say because we've never seen an Aphelios like this because he always had on attack effects with his turrets. So it'd be very interesting to see. I'm sure they did tests on it and it's probably going to be okay at least. But I don't think this is going to be that strong just from looking at it. But I could be wrong because there could be interactions with other champions that I'm not thinking about right now. Zed Contempt for the Weak attack damage steal is being increased from 20 to 30, 30 to 35, and 40 to 40 at levels 1, 2, and 3. And his Contempt for the Weak bonus damage is being increased by 15 at level 1, and that's it. So small buffs for Zed, level 1 Zed. I guess that's fine. I'm glad they didn't buff level 3 Zed, because level 3 Zed is really annoying to deal with. I don't think he needs any more power than that. Going on to the tier 3s, Akali attack speed increase 0.75 to 0.85. They're trying to make Akali less reliant on blue buff, so maybe now when you build RFC and Infinity Edge on her, maybe she doesn't need the blue buff as badly as she did before and she could still deal a bunch of damage, but maybe she'll still work with the blue buff. Tough to say. Like, whenever you have a champion with very low mana, blue buff's going to be really good on them, of course, so it's tough to make an item make a champion not super reliant on one item when they have a low mana pool. It's really tough to do. I'm not really sure how they can solve this problem, but I'm glad they're trying to do it. Katarina Death Lotus damage is now being increased at level 1. I don't really think this buff matters because my Katarina 1 never goes off. I don't know about you guys. So this could be 9,000 over here at level 1. I don't think it'd change any fights. Kalista Ren % health damage is being increased at 3-star Kalista. Yeah, no one plays Kalista, so it's understandable to buff it. Kennen being buffed, and his magic resist is being buffed by 10, so armor and magic resist up by 10. Oh, he's also got a spell damage change. So at 3-star, he deals less spell damage. So overall, this is a buff because Keepers also got buffed. So Kennen, when he gets an extra shield, he gets more effectiveness out of the resistances. So he might actually be really, really good. He was already fine before. He's great as an early game because Keeper's so good early game. But maybe you could play him more towards the late game as well with these changes. Obviously, 3-star Kennen was really, really strong. It kills everything. But it's so hard to get to that point. Xin Zhao rework. All right. So our previous attempts at making Xin Zhao a legitimate carry have fallen short. This time we're going a bit more extreme with a mini rework. Okay, let's check out what it is. Xin Zhao sweeps around him, dealing 300, 325, and 350% of his attack damage to nearby enemies, and gains 50, 60, and 75 armor and magic resist for the rest of combat. Does this stack? Xin Zhao now also has normal spellcast mana lock instead of having to wait until there are no more challenge units. Okay, that makes sense. So he could keep doing it. So I guess it is stackable. And Xin Zhao's starting mana is being increased from 0 out of 30 to 40 out of 80. So his first cast is going to take 1 more auto attack, and then he'll need 80 mana for the second one. This ability seems pretty cool. He's going to get really tanky if he ends up casting a lot. I'll have to update my blue buff versus Spear Shojin chart to accommodate for this, but we'll go ahead and see how this works out in game. Again, reading abilities, it's very hard to see whether they'd be that broken when they're so different from what they were before. Tier 4, okay, let's see what they did. Ahri Spirit Bomb is now an actual channel that can be interrupted through a stun or guardian angel, causing Ahri to release her orb early, reducing the size of the impact area. I actually kind of like this change. She was getting a little too strong, and yes, of course, they're going to buff her numbers to accommodate for this. So she's going to deal 25 more damage at level 1 and 25 more damage at level 2. That actually doesn't do anything compared to this because, well, 25 damage doesn't make up for the fact that she could be hitting like one square versus like the whole map, which is what she did before. Well, not the whole map, but you guys know what I mean. It hit a very large portion of the map. There must be a minimum size. Maybe it's like a 3 square triangle. But overall, this is definitely a nerf. Ashe health being reduced from 650 to 600. Armor being reduced, that's perfectly fine. Ashe was pretty broken. Maybe now you have a chance to kill her earlier than you normally do. Sejuani starting and total mana is being increased from 50 to 130 to 70 to 150. So her first cast is unaffected, but her second cast is going to happen a little less often, which is fine. Her first cast is the one that's most important. So nerfing her a tiny bit, perfectly okay, considering she's probably the best tank unit in the game. Shen's only good because Adept's really good right now, and Yone's really good. But I think alone, Sejuani is the best tank unit. Talon kill reset targeting is now being changed from highest damage dealt to lowest armor. So Talon's going to get a lot more kills when this happens. So maybe an item like Deathblade is going to be higher value on him because he's going to be able to get a lot of stacks much faster. Talon increases leap time after getting a successful kill. So that's a nerf there. But maybe, again, like lowest armor means he's going to be getting a lot of kills. And sometimes you don't need to kill the highest damage target first. Like if you kill like 5 units versus 1 unit, sometimes that's good enough, you know? Warwick Fear Duration is being reduced in half at levels 1 and level 2, and his Primal Hunger attack speed is being changed, and it's being nerfed from 175 to 135, 200 to 150, and then level 3 is being unchanged. So pretty sizable nerf considering the Fear Duration is cut in half, and the attack speed's a bunch lower too. I don't really think Warwick was ever the problem with Hunters, but I guess this is a way to touch them a little bit, but I probably would not have done this nerf because they're also nerfing Hunters by their passive trait. So fix a bug where Warwick's spell could fail if he performed a Hunter attack during it, so that's good. Lillia starting and total mana is being changed from 75 out of 125 to 80 out of 120, so she gets her first cast faster and second cast faster. Lillia's in a weird spot. She's so good with mage, but she's kind of mediocre to lackluster on her own. She really only works in mage. So it's just really hard to play her in like a random legendary composition. 3-star Lee Sin knockout punch hits an area around the primary target and knocks out any enemies directly hit regardless of their board condition or position. That's going to be pretty cool. Oh, so they finally revealed what 3-star Lee Sin would do. If you guys ever get any cool montages of this, again, like tag me on like Twitter or Instagram or share it in my Discord, discord.gg/BunnyMuffins. Kayn Reaper targeting has been adjusted to be more consistent in finding a valid target to spin towards. All right, that's pretty cool. And then we got some bug fixes. Fix a bug where spell crits would not work if they were connected to an attack that was already critting. For example, Vayne's true damage could not crit if her basic attacks were also critting. I don't know if you guys knew this or found this bug, but I never knew about this, but pretty interesting. Mobile, the item panel will no longer automatically switch back to the trait tracker when the shop opens. So overall, I'd say it's a decent patch. I disagree with nerfing Hunters in 3 ways. Maybe like they didn't need to touch Warwick. Divine, I'm glad they brought Divine back, but they shouldn't have nerfed Divine in the first place. Keeper buffs look pretty interesting. I love playing keepers. The champions are so good. Jarvan, Kennen, Riven, Azir, like those are some of the best champions, like on their own, in my opinion, especially like Kennen and Azir. You could kind of play them in any comp, like Kennen's AoE crowd control, Azir's AoE crowd control. Like you can never not have enough crowd control in your team. Cultist adjustment is pretty interesting. I like that 9 cultists, you get like immunity to crowd control, and Ahri's obviously, she got put in the trash can. She was already getting nerfed like every patch for the past like 3 patches, and now she's getting even weaker. They need to like buffer damage. I think Vanguard Mystic might be dead after this, unless someone discovers a new build that we haven't thought about before. Aphelios, we'll have to wait and see. It's really hard to judge. But overall, I give this patch maybe like a 6 out of 10, which is higher than what I normally give. So even though it sounds harsh, it's more positive than how I normally am. So if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead, hit the subscribe button down below. If you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and hit the like button and check out all the links in the description. And I'll come out with a meta snapshot on Friday. I'm also trying to do some sort of like more fun video in the coming week, but we'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, apart from that, I will see you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoy this patch, and good luck on your climb.